Hey guys, what's up? We're back with some more reactions after dark. Of course, we're going to be watching the silent killer of South Korea that murdered 1,500 young people by Rotten Mango, which I don't even know how that's possible or what even is going to happen in this video. That just sounds like how did this, how? Like that's all I could say to that title is like how did it happen? Uh, but yeah, I am recording this the same day as the last episode, which I said in the last episode that I was probably going to do that since, again, it takes so long to record these videos and then upload them that I'm just running out of time to do that by the 6 p.m. deadline that these videos typically go up for. So we're just recording ahead of time. Also, I might just start recording double videos, this and maybe something else, just so I can actually have other uh, stuff on the channel that isn't just Rotten Mango every day. We could have like go back to uploading Void every day. Maybe I was thinking about like I was looking at her other channels catalog, the Stephanie channel, so we might actually add her other channel to this as well. So we'll see if those videos start popping up too, since we are kind of running out of stuff that I want to watch on Rotten Mango. So we'll see what happens with that. I don't think I have much else to say since again I've already recorded one of these videos today.
Bada bing, bada boom.
In a South Korean emergency room.
Hold on, we got a different set here. This was over a year ago, so maybe different place, different house. I don't know. Because we don't have the weird... Oh, I forgot to turn the pin on. Because usually we have the lamp over here that, like, it's usually around here somewhere. That has a weird lights on it that drives me crazy, but this is a completely different room than usual.
Bada bing, bada boom.
In a South Korean emergency room. This is May of 2009.
May 2009.
There was the Lee family that were anxiously waiting for help. You know, it just seemed like the parents, so it's Mr. and Mrs. Lee, their new parents, maybe about 20 something years old, and they have their 3-month-old baby, their 3-month-old infant. And like these parents, their dark circles under their eyes, they look like they're being pulled down by gravity itself. They look beat. Their eyes are frantic. I mean, it looks like they had been fueling themselves with just adrenaline alone. And, you know, the hospital, they get a lot of these parents in. They get all these parents that are new and they're scared and they're like, my kid is coughing. I don't know what to do. I feel like my kid is in trouble. Can you please?
Yeah, I assume that happens a lot, right? Just like new parents, they're just scared to death since a baby, a human baby specifically, is probably the weakest thing on the planet, if we're going to be serious. It very well may be the literal weakest and most incompetent thing on the planet compared to other animals. So it's understandable to be so afraid that something is wrong with it.
New and they're scared and they're like, my kid is coughing. I don't know what to do. I feel like my kid is in trouble. Can you please help? And usually it's nothing, right? Usually. This case wasn't that. 3-month-old baby Lee was perfectly healthy the day of his birth. He went to all of his checkups, perfectly healthy, until just about a week ago. According to the parents, he started having these little hiccups. He would hiccup, and at first it was cute. They're like, oh my God, he knows how to hiccup. And then slowly these hiccups would morph into these coughing fits. He would wake himself up in pain from his little naps and just coughing up a storm. They were so worried. I mean, the way that he was screaming was ear-piercing. Something was clearly wrong. Nurses checked his heart rate. They took scans. They put him on an IV. Meanwhile, there were multiple doctors crowding in a room. So this is like an office room. The parents aren't there. The patients aren't there. And one by one, another doctor would come in and they'd be like, hey, look at these scans. They would stare at the scan, hands on their hips, and then another doctor would come and nobody could put their finger on it. They had no idea what was going on.
Okay, so what did this guy do? Assuming it's a guy, or you could say it's a company, right? But that's usually headed by someone who made the decision for this. What was it? Was it baby formula? Was it something in the clothing, in the blankets? It can't be the cribs, right? Bippy? It might be the Bippies. I don't know. Also, I did notice the candle, but I was like, wait, hold a minute. These things are actually lit up over here. Not that you can see because I'm in the way, but those candles are realistically lit. Like, is that safe? Safe to just have candles like that? I'm assuming so.
The baby's lungs were basically gone. Yeah, not all the way gone, but something really, really strange and bizarre was happening.
What do you mean by gone? They were just gone? What? Because since we obviously don't know how this works, what do we mean again, like gone? So what do lungs look like, right? It's like something like this, right? And then they're like attached, can do that, and then something like that, right? What when she said they're gone, what I imagined is like something like this, and then that goes down the middle. But like it went from this to that, just shriveled up raisins. So what is happening to these children's lungs?
His lung tissues were turning solid, hard
Oh,
up.
we actually have an X-ray, but we can't actually see what's. I can't tell from an X-ray where the lungs are even at. I'm guessing they're like just here because that's the shape of them, right? But I don't see anything. There's a heart. Is that the lung? So is it? It should be filling this area, but is that it there?
As a rock, which means that, okay, think about it.
Okay, well, it can't expand if it's being solidified then, because they're supposed to expand and then shrink. So if they can't actually stretch, if they're not elastic, then you're gonna have a problem.
Lungs have to
You can't
expand to
breathe.
take in air. And if they turn into stone, it won't expand and you can't take in air. Imagine the feeling of wearing a corset made out of stone, 2 sizes too small. It's like the feeling that even if you try with all of your might to take in some air and lift your chest and expand it, you're not getting oxygen. It's that feeling, but probably amplified to the 100th degree. Doctors have no idea what to do. They had never seen anything like this. They don't know how to help baby Lee. Ultimately, baby Lee passed May 5th of 2009 on Children's Day.
Because what would they do? Like they don't know what's going on.
He was less than 100 days old, and nobody knew why he had passed, what had happened. Did someone do something? Was it potentially foul play? What was going on? What could have possibly happened in the past 3 months?
Yeah, what could cause your lungs to solidify? Do they have a humidifier? And something with a humidifier is putting stuff into the air that then they're breathing in, causing the lungs to solidify. Because I'm just thinking of like how are lungs going to solidify without like breathing in some sort of gas? Like I don't know.
Just 4 days later, the Lee couple are back at the hospital. This time, Mr. Lee is screaming, "She's not breathing! She's not breathing! You have to help her! Do something! Do something! Someone
The wife?
hurry!" He said that he found his wife passed out on the bathroom floor. So the hospital takes her in. And again, those very same doctors are huddled in the room and they're staring at her scans and it doesn't make sense.
Okay, so she has stone lung as well. So this has to be something that can affect not just a baby. So it's not just formula, 'cause why would she be drinking formula? It's not the baby's clothes, question mark, but she could be breathing in the baby when the baby's like being held or whatever. Plus, I think everyone talks about the new baby smell, right? So they might just be sniffing the baby all the time anyways because of that. I don't... Yeah, again, a humidifier...
Her lung tissues were completely white, meaning that her lungs were solidifying. When they walked into her patient room where she's laying on the hospital bed, it looked like a ghost was sitting on her chest and manually choking her. And she couldn't take in air. No matter what they did, she couldn't get oxygen into her lungs. Every single person in that...
Yeah, does an iron lung work in these situations where the lungs just literally cannot move? Is an iron lung forcing your lungs to expand and retract, or is it just directly pumping air into your tubes? I don't know.
In that room was so concerned about her, except for herself. She didn't care. She wasn't concerned about saving her life. She just kept trying to grab at the doctor's hands, and she was half asking, half begging them, do I have some sort of disease? And did I give it to my baby? Did I kill my baby? Tell me right now, did I kill my baby? And the doctors, they could only attempt to comfort her, but they have no idea what was going on to her baby, but also to her. Mrs. Lee refused all treatment. She believed that she had been the reason her son had died. She had caught something, transmitted it to her precious little boy, and she wanted to face the consequences. She wanted to be with her son. 1 month later,
I was assuming it was going to be like, I just want to be with my son kind of scenario, but
she would pass away too. And only Mr. Lee was left.
now is he going to go as well? Because something is causing this in their house. Again, I feel like the only thing could be is a humidifier with some sort of like chemicals being pumped into the air, but that just seems too... That can't be it. What is this killer?
In the matter of a month, his whole family was gone.
Air freshener, maybe?
They had been wiped out by some mysterious illness that the doctors could not even pinpoint. And so by himself, he goes back to his empty home, he slumps down the wall, and he just puts his head in his hands and he starts sobbing until his body is exhausted.
My wife didn't get to see our baby yet. She passed away without even knowing that our baby was born. I had to make her funeral portrait with my own hands.
Someone had killed his son and wife, and he was sure of it. Both of them.
Okay, so he's like, it wasn't her. I mean, obviously it's his wife, so he's gonna be like, yeah, it wasn't her. So he clearly has a vendetta now.
Were healthy, and in the matter of the past month, both of them had now been buried. He was gonna find out whoever did this, and they were gonna pay.
Oh. Again, as I typically say, gotta mute this since, again, I think it's licensed music and I don't have a license to it and I'm not getting in trouble, so we'll just mute this as usual. But yeah, I still cannot even figure out what could be causing it. Again, a humidifier with pumping chemicals, air fresheners, the water... I feel like the water would have been way more. If the water got contaminated, it would be way more than 1,500 people. It's just something that has to do with the lungs. So I'm thinking the lungs, you're having to breathe something in. Asbestos? Is it asbestos in the walls? Is it paint? And then something in the paint, they're huffing something off of the paint?
As always, full show notes are available at rottenmangopodcast.com.
Like, I'm just like taking a shotgun blast at it and like seeing if any of that sticks. So we got humidifiers, we got air fresheners, we got paint, we got asbestos. I literally don't know what else other than that. And maybe like, again, a blanket or something. Maybe they were sleeping with the baby. They had the baby with them in the bed with them. So it could have been that. But he is still alive. So I don't know. Where could it be? It's a place that only the mob and the child were in at the most, because he's still alive. And I doubt it's just because like he's a guy, so he's tanking it harder. I think it's just they were in a location that this thing was like they were in this location the most, wherever this dangerous item is.
This case is absolutely crazy. There is no other way to describe it. The death toll is probably in the thousands, but we can't even really be sure how many people have been impacted. Now, this case did take place in South Korea, so we had our wonderful Korean researchers help assist with this case. And I do want to give a quick side note. Some of the names in today's case are not real. Those families have requested anonymity. All of the perpetrator names are real. Most of the victims' names are real, and a few of the family members have been very, very public and very vocal about what happened to them. So with that being said, let's get into it. Dr. Hong was a doctor in a busy part of South Korea. He's finishing up his rounds at the hospital. He's on edge. He's agitated. Like something is very much bothering this man, and he can't seem to shake it. Even the nurses, they're staying out of his way. I mean, to put it very lightly, the guy is in a salty, sour mood.
Is this because of what's happening, or is it just, are we going to end up finding out that a doctor is what caused this stone lung phenomenon?
And with each door that opens and each patient that he sees and that he talks to, the sweat beads on his forehead, they're just multiplying and drenching his whole face. And he's thinking to himself, it's happening again. The same thing happened last year, and it is back. He
Okay, so that just happened to 2 people in 1 year, but then now it's doing it again.
doesn't even know what it was or what it is or who it was. It was more of a feeling than a scientific medical observation, but it was back and it was killing people. Random kids, infants, newborns, toddlers, specifically pregnant women, would all come in with similar symptoms, and ultimately, by the time that they walked in through those hospital doors, they were dying. They were dying, and there was nothing that Dr. Han could do to help them. He would turn on the news after every shift and he's like, I think that I'm losing my mind. I think I'm going crazy by myself because I see the same symptoms. I see the same thing over and over again and nobody is talking about it. There's not a single news source talking about some sort of mystery illness or a new pandemic or epidemic. Nothing.
And he doesn't know what happened.
He has no idea what's happening. But
Okay, so before it said the pregnant women were also catching this because the one guy that they were talking to, that was not Lee, the one who was saying my pregnant wife or my wife didn't even get to see her child. That was because Lee's wife was alive when the child was born, and was alive for a while afterwards. So that wasn't Lee. That was some random other person. So pregnant women are also catching the stone lung here. So again, like, what could it be? We are just saying kids and the women and the pregnant women. So that means it's not affecting the men. So what are women doing with children that could be having this happen? Like, out of the 5 things, I literally can't say, because most of those things are specifically like AoE for everybody. It's not a specific thing for children, a specific thing for women or pregnant women. Clothing, perfume. Like, I'm going towards perfume now because of the fact that it's. It seems like to just be women and children at this point. So maybe it's just a perfume, and that's giving the women the stone lung, and then because the babies are near the mothers or they were inside while the mother was using the cologne, they contracted this thing somehow. I feel like perfume is like going on it does a reach, but I don't know.
But it's the most curious thing. It's not even like people are coming in with heart attacks or people are coming in with colon cancer. These are things that maybe big picture wise, there's some sort of trend that's happening amongst the human population. But with this, young, healthy newborn babies are coming in and their lungs look like they had been mining, like miners' lungs for the past 100 years, and they had only been alive for 3 months. It looked like they were sitting in the chimney of a factory and just breathing in that air. And he's like, I'm going crazy. This doesn't even make any sense, and nobody is talking about it. And it's been happening year after year, always around the spring season.
How many?
Okay, spring. Every season, it's happening during spring. And again, women and children.
Years.
For the past like 2 to 3 years. And every year it gets worse and worse and worse. And he's like, am I losing my mind? I mean, of course, when the first few kids came in, he thought, maybe, because of how bizarre it is, maybe the parents are doing something. Maybe it's like Munchausen by proxy, right? Maybe they want attention and they're making their kids sick deliberately to get some sort of emotional fulfillment.
Just sneaked in Munchausen syndrome or whatever the heck that's called, which she kind of just explained it. But it's just like when you, I think that one is specifically for when you make your children sick, like she said, for attention. So you're literally basically trying to kill your child or almost killing your child for your own satisfaction. Which there's been a lot of stories about that. Like, I think some woman did it to her daughter, I think, and the daughter did eventually end up dying, and they couldn't figure out what was wrong with her because it was just the mother giving the child some sort of poison or something. I don't remember what it was. I think this is the reverse as well. Maybe like making yourself sick for attention. I'm not sure, but I think this one specifically is for making you're going out of your way to keep your child sick always.
But that doesn't make sense. The numbers were outrageous here. Then he thought, okay, maybe there's someone poisoning baby food.
Yeah. But food, it would be fine as well, but again, the moms are being sick too. Unless they're tasting the food, but then like they're not gonna be like, chugging baby food down constantly, so that doesn't make sense either for the mothers. I don't know if it's Munchausen syndrome or Munchausen or whatever the heck disease. I would assume it's syndrome, right? Because it's not a disease. You could argue it's almost like a mental illness, but I think it might even have been classified as a mental illness at some point. Maybe, I don't know.
Because they're all infants and the moms are maybe eating the baby food. They're taking little bites to test out the warmth and to make sure it's good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But like little bites here and there, compared to like the babies actually guzzling the stuff down, I don't know. Like you'd think the wives would not just also die too, though.
Maybe that's what's going on. But that doesn't make sense either because that again would be on the news. Was it just his hospital? Was maybe the water supply in this immediate area, it was being poisoned, the water supply? He could try his best to investigate, but I mean, he was way in over his head.
I mean, he's a doctor, not like a police officer or health safety people. I don't know who are the people who go out and see like if there's some sort of contamination, right?
To find the connection between these victims was rough. Like, how can you even find the connection? These aren't people that went to the same school or anything. Would people even remember every little thing that they bought at the store or ate recently? Like, how do you even deem something significant enough to tell the doctors? Most things fly under the radar. So before he can put on a Sherlock Holmes hat, another patient walks in through the door. Seolin was pregnant, and she's a first-time mom. She was so excited, okay? I mean, the couple did everything early. They were early in their prep. They set up the nursery. They prepared for birth, focusing on anything and everything that has to do with health. She was about 8 months pregnant, a month away from giving birth, when her doctor is looking literally belly out, ultrasound, and she just freezes. The baby's organs look white. Which the only things that should look white are your bones, because the density.
Okay, so that's how x-rays work here. The whiter it is, the denser it is.
It looked as if the baby's lungs were solid, like a rock.
What?
And so she tells the mom, I mean, I don't think that anyone will be able to save your baby, even if you follow through with the pregnancy. I think that the only reason that your baby is alive right now is because they don't need to use their own lungs because they're inside the uterus. But when that baby is born, there is no chance of lung functionality outside the womb. None. The child ended up passing away shortly after being born, which, like, if you know anyone who's experienced this, I had a family member who went through this, but it is like the most traumatic thing ever to hold your baby in your arms knowing that they might not make it, or to even just really walk out of that hospital without your child. But there is so much evidence that you're supposed to have this baby. Like, you have a home with the nursery, and even your own body shows evidence of you need to come home with the baby. It is the equivalent of putting your heart through a shredder. So shortly after this, Seon realized she's pregnant again.
Wait, what? You had another child, or tried to conceive another one after the other one was not necessarily stillborn, but almost stillborns. Nearly stillborn, but then ended up dying.
And she and her husband, they don't even know how to feel. Like, yeah, they're excited, but they're so terrified. I mean, even the first time they were pregnant, they were so paranoid. They were making sure that everything she was eating was organic and perfectly safe for the baby. Even candles they were lighting, perfume that she was wearing. They did everything to the T. And this is a high-risk pregnancy, she feels like. I mean, I can only imagine how on edge the couple are feeling about every tiny little thing.
Though somehow the wife's lungs are fine. It just went to the baby. The baby is only getting food. delivered and maybe air and all the, I mean, obviously air and all the other stuff from the mother, but how does the baby get stone lung, but the mother does not in this situation? I was thinking at some point maybe it was actually a doctor that did this, and like some way they were treating these women was causing the lungs to happen. I don't know. It's just there's just so little information to go off of that I just cannot pinpoint where this is coming from, which is always on purpose, but that's kind of just what we're trying to have a discussion about, like what is causing this.
Helen felt like she had done something wrong the first time, like it was her fault. She wondered if she ate healthier, ate better, took more supplements, did everything that the doctors and all these random ajumas, these old ladies tell her to do. If she did everything, maybe this time her child would be fine. Her child was not fine. The same thing happened again. As soon as the baby's lungs were developed, the OBGYN told Seon that her baby's lungs would not be functional outside of the womb. This baby wouldn't make it either. So this time, Seon is like, okay, it's 100% my fault. Side note, it's not. But she's thinking, it's gotta be me. I mean, there's no other reason. There's something in my genetics. There's something in my body that I am not fit enough to make another human being. I am not a good mom. I can't be a parent.
Even if I met my children in the next life, I want to show them that their mother tried her best. Okay, well this implies that something happened to the mom, so she might be gone. Also, is the baby bottle with money in it? Is that what that is? I'm just seeing, you know, this right here. It looks like a baby bottle with money in it, but I'm not sure what's going on with that bottle. Yeah, I think this sentence here implies that she possibly isn't around anymore, either because of the stone lung or because she deleted because she couldn't live with it, not being able to be a mom.
만나더라도 엄마가 요 정도 노력을 했다. 엄마가 요 정도까지는 했다. 정말.
Even though I am so sorry to them, I want to show them that I tried my best to prove the reason why they passed away. That way I can beg them for forgiveness.
미안했지만 요 정도는 내가 밝히기 위해서 노력을 했다. 용서해달라 하는 선인 것 같아요.
But these doctors, they didn't think that. They felt like something was out there targeting South Korean families. So Dr. Hong, he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know who or what is doing this, so he does the only thing that he can think of doing, and he's kind of like a madman, right? Dr. Hong compiles a list of every single email, every single person that he graduated medical school with, every colleague that he had ever briefly nodded in the hospital halls with. He went online and looked up a list of random doctors from random hospitals. It didn't even matter what field they were in. It could have been dermatologists, plastic surgeons. As long as they had MD, he was going to find their email and email them. He starts mass emailing about a new silent killer. He didn't know what or who it was, but whatever it is, it's turning babies' lungs into stone.
What does he say though?
He's like, I need help. I think
Scans sent with the email of patient's white lungs.
I'm losing my mind. I don't know what's going on. Please tell me, is this just me? Is there something in our local water supply that's poisoning these people? But that's weird because I'm not getting a bunch of healthy young people coming in. Yeah. I'm literally getting infants, babies, young moms, and maybe some elderly people. But like, how can something, it's not the air, it's not the water. Like, I'm gonna go crazy.
When was this again?
This is in like 2011.
2011. Well, 2011 now. She said this started in 2009. And she said it's been a couple years of this happening. So I'm guessing that's why she's saying it's 2011 now. But it started in 2009. I still can't pinpoint what it could be yet. I mean, obviously we're going to be told, but I just cannot figure it out yet.
Yeah. Then he slowly starts getting all these emails back of random doctors that he's never met before being like, I actually had a case very similar. So these are some of the stories. Chuno's mom felt like she was feeling a bit paranoid, you know? She tried to talk herself out of this decision, but I mean, it's 2 a.m. She just wants to get some peace of mind. half out of anxiety and half out of South Korea's emphasis on manners and politeness.
Okay, where's
She's
it going?
smiling at the emergency room doctor. Like, I'm sure it's nothing. I'm probably overreacting, but I'm a new mom. Anyway, my son Chuno caught a cold maybe 2 weeks ago. I thought it was getting better. I've been trying to do everything at home, and I feel like it's getting worse. I think that he just needs some medicine or some sort of checkup. Last night, it felt like his breathing was shallow, and you know, the first night when he caught the cold, he was bloody, scream crying, like just, oh, bloody murder, right? Now, it seems almost like he's too exhausted to even cry. And I guess that was worrying me. We did keep his room warm. We kept his room humid. We had the humidifier on. We've been putting him.
Humidifier has been spoken. That was my. I don't know if it's going to be the humidifier, but that was my first thought, right? That it has to be a humidifier. So, was I right? I was trying to shotgun a bunch of stuff, like I said, but was it in fact a humidifier? Because she just keyword just dropped. You can't just use the word humidifier when I was talking about humidifiers the entire time. Insert the Leonardo DiCaprio pointing finger when he's sitting on the chair. Because I literally just did that in real life. I'm literally pointing at my screen right now. You can't see it because the model doesn't have tracking on, but I've literally just extended my arm out and started pointing at the screen. Like, you can't say humidifier without me noticing that. So was it the humidifier or humidifier related?
Him on like a soft, bland food diet. I just don't know. The doctor pulled out his stethoscope, and the mom was right. Breathing was shallow. Okay, I'm just gonna have to do some CT scans. He comes back with 2 scans. The first one, he shows Mrs. Lee, and he states, you know, these are what healthy lungs are supposed to look like. And from the untrained eye, it might be even hard to spot. They kind of disappear into the x-rays.
Yeah, because it's just black.
Now, these are what Chuno's lungs look like.
And it's just... Okay, so the fact that it's pure white in that area is why... Now we have like at least a reference so that if your lungs basically just don't look like nothing if they're healthy, but you actually have a veil of white covering in them up. Not compared to like your lungs there or the spine in the middle there.
And now
they
Mrs.
are
Lee
lit
has
up.
no idea what she's looking at, but it's not looking good. I mean, it looks nothing like the healthy lungs. His lungs are white in color. They look like bone. Within days, baby Chuno died in the hospital. He was supposed to have his 돌잔치, which is your 1-year birthday party, next month, but now he was gone. His mom would have to go home, arms empty, walk into his empty, lifeless room, turn off the sound machine, click off the humidifier, turn off the lights, before she slumped to the ground, sobbing. Then that doctor said another patient walked through the hospital doors, and they sat with the patients as they explained the scans, and they said the same thing.
Did they utter the word humidifier?
We just thought it was and the doctor said, a common cold? Yes, how did you know? Anyway, we thought it was a common cold, so we were treating our baby at home, and, you know, we kept the room warm, we kept it humid, we had the humidifier running, we made sure to feed him a diet of soft, bland foods, and now our baby is sick, but also the mother of the baby is sick. Both were admitted into the hospital for intensive care.
Okay, so what? I don't think it's obviously an illness that's contracted. It's something from the humidifier. But if it is in fact a humidifier, like I originally thought, as my first idea of what it could be, then how are they getting sick before the humidifier? Unless these people just have humidifiers in, just running always in their house. Which, I mean, some people do. Yeah, I don't know. Like, what is being put into the humidifier? I think you can put special liquids into it, right? Is that special liquid being used outside of the humidifier? Or the baby's getting a hold of it somehow? I don't know.
The mom would recover, but the baby wouldn't. And they would constantly blame themselves. These parents would go home crying about how they transferred some sort of unknown virus or bacteria to their kid, and that is why their kid died. They blamed themselves for going out or going to work too early on. These doctors had no idea what to tell these parents. So these doctors are coming back to the emails one by one, sharing their stories. At one point, one doctor was like, I had 17 patients that were admitted for breathing problems. Their x-ray scans showed the exact same thing. Out of 17 of them, 13 of them were either children or young pregnant women, and 5 of them died within like that day. So they're like, something out here is killing people and nobody is talking about it. So Dr. Hong is like, well, I'm going to talk about it. He calls up the Korean Center for Disease Control. The
Okay, there we go. That's what we needed. Or disease control is what handles this kind of issues.
Korean CDC, and he presents them with all the information that he's gathered so far. And he's like, listen, I'm going to make it easy for you guys. I've already narrowed it down. It's happening during the spring season, mostly in April. I don't know what's going on there. It seems like
Rain.
it's airborne.
Yeah. I mean, it has to be airborne. I feel like I nailed it right on the head at the very beginning of this video. I hope I was able to figure it out like immediately, but I don't know. Spring season, but he says April. April showers bring May flowers. If you haven't heard that analogy, if you're not, I don't know, American, I don't know if that's American saying or what, but April, again, if we're going off of that silly rule, that April rains a lot, thus that might cause people to get sick, thus they might turn the humidifier on, etc., etc. So that is a key point there.
And it's attacking the lungs, literally turning them into stone. So you're welcome. Please go find out what's going on and let's save these people. He also reaches out to bacteriologists to see if there's any new bacteria or virus in the air. And they get back to him and they say, absolutely nothing, no. We have been monitoring and there is nothing in the air. So you say it's airborne, but we're testing in common public areas. We're testing in cities, in the little like countryside. We're testing everywhere. And there is no new known bacteria, nothing. The CDC, they didn't even respond at all. It would take 2 years for them to start investigating the deaths. And the deaths didn't.
2 years. So 2013. I'm assuming if we're going off of this, he sent this up in 2011.
Stop during those 2 years. Essentially, 2 valuable years to stop whatever was happening was wasted. And during that time, more kids were dying. And then finally, the news channels got into it. Dr. Hong reached out to the media, and by 2011, like the end, the news starts picking.
Okay, so no. He did this in 2009. The timeline here is weird because he said this started in 2009, skipped 2 years. He's like, okay, this is going too crazy. We need to send this out. And then, so we're in 2011, but then he said 2 years later, then the disease control got a hand of it. So this 2000, did they do that in 2013? Did they do it in 2011? Did he also send this stuff out in 2009? So we're getting some muddy here with the dates.
Up on the trend of infants dying, and they reported a lung disease with no cause nor any treatment or any cure are targeting groups of families. The medical field is warning of possible contagion. Can you imagine a message like that going out? It's giving the purge. I mean, people lost their minds. The public are like, what are you saying? There's no cure for a mystery lung disease, and now we're going to go out and it's contagious and you have no idea even what this virus is?
By the way, never seen any of the Purge movies, though. Does the Purge stuff have to do with diseases too? I thought it was just like, for 24 hours, all crime is legal. I didn't know there's some sort of disease stuff related to it too, or we're just saying it's just similar to getting a crazy like alert like that. It's not necessarily that they're in the same ballpark of ideas. It's just getting a crazy announcement that would cause hysteria.
And so now the CDC is like, okay, maybe we need to get involved so that you guys can calm down. Everything has been vague. Let's clear some things up. The CDC comes out to say, don't worry about it, guys. This doesn't concern us. This doesn't concern you because it's only attacking pregnant women and young children. And
which is like what? Most of the population?
The whole nation collectively loses their mind.
Because women are already 50%. Then you're also stacking the children on top of that, which is including some men in that because the boys. So there's more than half the population is being targeted.
Like, what are you talking about? Don't be concerned because the world's most vulnerable population are getting attacked, but like, we should be fine. It only pisses off everyone else. So now the CDC, they finally open an investigation into the deaths. And the CDC, they start interviewing each of the family members of the victims and asking them questions. They were waiting for like a aha moment. They would sit there and they would kind of smirk and they'd say, well, do you smoke? No, we don't. No one in the family smokes.
Smoking did cross my mind, but that didn't make sense. So I
Are you
didn't
sure?
even mention
Are you sure
it.
the husband doesn't smoke around the kid? It's okay if they do. You can tell us. No, I mean, absolutely not. So they thought, okay, maybe it's like some sort of food, a gadget, maybe like a special dish soap. They were asking things like, where did you go? Who did you see? What kind of things do you use on a typical basis? Does anyone else smoke? Does anyone do any drugs? What's wild is that most of the families interviewed, they were actually pretty concerned about their family's health. Because these are young families or young moms with infants and children. They're like really helicopter momming it. They want to get all the organic stuff. They want to get the best of the best, 100% cotton clothes for the kids. They were really intense. And almost every single family took on a very hands-on approach. So they all sat there for the CDC interviews and answered all the questions. Do you sanitize your kids' toys when you drop them on the ground? Yes, of course, absolutely. And you go to all the required checkups for your children. Yes, and we don't let our family members kiss our children. We go to the checkups. We don't let strangers hold our children. We even have humidifiers in our children.
Humidifier has been dropped again. A second humidifier. So, can we just say it is in fact the humidifiers now? I obviously can't go back and watch when I was said humidifier, but I swear I said humidifier first because the first thing that came to my mind, like honestly, was the humidifier. So, I'm surprised I was able to figure that out immediately. But I don't know. I don't know. Because my first thought hearing this was humidifier, right? So why did I get it immediately, but it took them so long to realize this? That doesn't make any sense, I feel like. It's not like I have a million IQ or anything, even remotely close to that, so we're probably going to be told like later it wasn't the humidifier, so I'm just like keep harking on the humidifier, but it probably is not the humidifier. But again, humidifier dropped again.
Rooms, because the winters get so dry, we keep it close to the crib and we make sure that the room is always warm, that it's well ventilated. Okay, good.
Okay, so humidifiers into the they put them in the winter so that the baby is breathing in all the humidity from the humidifiers, and that rolls into spring, and that's because they've been affected by the humidifier for so many months now. Now they're gone, and then you just don't figure it out until spring because it takes a while to stone the lungs, whatever's doing this.
But are you aware that humidifiers can easily, yes, harbor bacteria? We clean it regularly with a government-approved humidifier sterilizer.
The sterilizer. It's not the humidifier, it's the sterilizer. Still same thing. It's something they had to do, because I was mentioning like fluid that has to go in the humidifier. So it could be the sterilizer. It's either the humidifier or the sterilizer, but now we're veering off of that and going to sterilizer. Because if they're sterilizing it, those particles might still be inside the humidifier once you dump the water in or whatever the heck you're putting into it, and then blowing it out. And so it's getting it into the air. Also, the mothers are handling the sanitizer, and that might be also how they're absorbing it outside of just the humidifier itself.
So the CDC, they check their notes. The area of where the patients came from differed. The brand of formula that they bought or the baby food that they bought differed. There was just one thing that kept being written down in their notes.
I guess. Was it the humid? I'm just going to write humid. Was it the humidifier? Again, chicken scratch because I am in an uncomfortable position for this. I don't have like a proper way to draw. Is it the humidifier?
Over and over again. To the point where it might as well have been underlined in red. Can you guess?
The humidifier.
They all used a
Oh,
humidifier.
it actually went in the same spot.
And that's not crazy, okay? Almost every single household in South Korea has a humidifier. The winters in South Korea are brutal. Okay, but it's not even just the winters. We went to Korea in April, and my mom was like, you better pack your thickest moisturizer. I have oily combination skin, and I leaned more towards oily. We get to Korea, I had to bring a separate different moisturizer, a thick one that would normally break me out at home, but it was so dry, if I didn't do that, you could literally see my skin flakes dusting off in the day. So during springtime, most South Korean families will have humidifiers on to help with their chapped lips, their dry skin, and just to help fight off like the colds and stuff that come with dry and tired nasal pathways, you know? But the mechanisms of a humidifier are breeding grounds for bacteria. Whenever you keep water in a closed container for a long time, 100% bacteria and mold is gonna form eventually. It's just a matter of when. Humidifiers are completely safe if you clean and you dry them after every use. But let's be real, like who's cleaning and drying them after every use? If you don't do that, bacteria and mold is gonna come out in the steam. You will essentially be breathing in moist, moldy air, and that can make you super sick, sicker than dry air. But whenever the CDC sat there on their little high horse trying to be smartasses, like, oh, did you know that the humidifier is a breeding ground for bacteria? All the parents already knew all of this. This is not groundbreaking information in a country where humidifiers are common. Nobody is sitting breathing in moldy air. Every single family looked at the CDC and stated, of course I know this, and in order to combat this, we bought government-approved humidifier sterilizers. The CDC employees, they look at each other, and when asked about the brand of humidifier used, the families all had different answers. Some use this brand, others use this brand. But when they all were asked about what humidifier sterilizer,
like I said, as soon as she said sterilizer, I immediately went to the sterilizer and said, so I'm guessing it's a sterilizer. There's no way it's not now. We've all been told it was a sterilizer because that makes more sense.
they used, most of them said, oh, saksak. Saksak means like brisk. It's like how you describe something like clean. Like saksak taka, which means like do it very clean, shiny.
That's the brand.
Yes, but it's actually owned by the Korean branch of Oxy. Huge UK brand. I'm sure you know some of their products like Airwick, the car fresheners, the air fresheners, Lysol, the disinfecting cleaners.
So it's owned by a UK brand, is what you're saying. This is a Korean branch.
But it's basically Oxy, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They make OxyClean too. I mean, Oxy's in the name. They must be OxyClean as well, right?
So they sell it in Korea. They don't really sell it anywhere else because I don't think that the UK population and the American population use that many humidifiers to warrant such a humidifier sterilizer. But they sell it in Korea. Now, humidifier sanitizers are not new inventions. They're also not solely available in South Korea. This one was. In the US, you can get humidifier sterilizers, but it's like a really intense one. So basically what you do is you like put this, it's a dish soap basically, and you dilute it in a bunch of water and you have to soak your humidifier tank in there, and then you got to dry it completely, and then you got to like run a fake one and then run a new, it's like a whole process. It's like a full day clean. It's not a simple one, right? Well, in South Korea, they're super advanced because so much of the population uses humidifiers on a seasonal basis. They created one where you don't have to rinse it out. You just put a bit of this, you drop it into the water tank of the humidifier, and it will not only humidify the air in the room, but it will also purify the air that's coming out. It will kill the bacteria in the water. It's a 2-in-1.
So you just drop a few drops in there.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it. And it was flying off the shelves because remember how during the initial lockdowns that we recently experienced, everyone was buying disinfectants. Every winter, these things would be so hard to keep in stock because people loved it. Because you don't want moldy, humidified air straight into your face. You also don't want to go through the process of cleaning it, and it takes all day. The sterilizers were also advertised as family safe and had government seals on it, indicating that it passed all the necessary government safety tests. So that means it can't just be some bullshit chemical in a bottle that this company is selling for profit. It at least has to be safe enough to use. So that's what the CDC thought. They're like, okay, I mean, I get it. Everyone's using saksak, but come on, it's got a government seal, right? But the more interviews they do, the more they kept coming across the same exact story. Everything was fine. I left my wife at home to rest and take care of the baby. I went to work, came home, ate dinner. You know, my wife is not the type to get into anything outrageous. She doesn't hang out with dangerous people. She doesn't even go out to areas where she can catch an infection. Since we have a newborn baby, we're very cautious. She stays at home. Baby has his own crib. We even have a humidifier that we always keep on for our son. And then you notice that your son started to feel ill. Yeah, at first we thought it was something that we could do with home remedies. So we put him on a bland diet, brought the humidifier closer to his crib so he was facing the crib, and we thought maybe his airways were so dry because of how cold it's been.
Brought even closer to it. Oof.
So when they cough, they think they need more
They need the humidifier closer to the baby or to whoever is sick, because I do that too.
Yeah, because that's what they say when you get dry and cough.
Yes, you stick the humidifier like literally to the point where my face would have moisture droplets on it because I just want it that close to me because I'm like, this is probably going to help, right? And then slowly it gets to, not even slowly, within the span of the week, that baby is in the ER and the CT scans show that the lungs are completely solidified and there is nothing to do to help this child.
Oh my God, I can't even imagine when the parents found out.
Oh, it's bad.
Like,
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, yeah, we're going to get to that. So the CDC, they investigate what the hell is going on with these humidifiers and the humidifier sterilizers. I mean, clearly that is the key to all of this. It is the one consistent thing that everyone is doing, and it was taking so long to identify because, again, in Korea, using a humidifier is as common as taking a shower. It's that common. It's not something that someone will go, oh, you know what? Actually, on second thought, I did use a humidifier this week. And I'm sure you guys are picking what I'm throwing down. But again, this is 2011. And even now, I feel like I still kind of fall for this whole, what? No, it should be safe. It's made by this huge, massive company. There's no way that they would risk a lawsuit by knowingly selling something that's dangerous for human consumption. That's crazy.
Except, I mean, all of American food is full of poisons. Hello? So, I mean...
And every day, we are shocked by the newest updates. We can't use certain floss anymore because they have poisonous forever chemicals that we're just shoving deep into our sensitive gums and letting straight into our bloodstream.
I think recently they said, or I saw something that almost all of toothpaste that we use has, like, deadly chemicals in it. Like a lead and stuff like that. It's like a huge majority, like a majority of the top brands all have like several, like not just like one thing, but several, like bad for human things in it.
We can't use certain candles anymore that are super fragranced because apparently the super fragrance ones are just poisonous chemicals that make it smell like roses.
Let me just like move myself out of the way for a second because I could always talk about stuff that just OCD stuff. But I noticed that you can't see it too much because this is actually being cut off a bit. But it could just be the angle, but this looks smaller than this. Like it looks like there's more room here than there is here. So like this thing is like lopsided. Not lopsided, but it's like uneven. It's not symmetrical. Because there's less room here than there is here. It's probably just the camera angle, but I noticed it early and it's bugging me. Because I'm just crazy like that. I need... Oh, yeah, that one.
We can't use certain eye drops anymore because, I don't know, they'll make you go blind because they have some sort of bacteria in them. We can't even drink overpriced bottled water because it has microplastics that we're collecting credits. I feel like every time you turn on the news, there is something new and you're like, oh, okay. But back then in 2011, there was way less of that skepticism. It was up to the companies and the governments to make sure that their products were safe for consumers. And we're not chemists, you know? So you can see where this is going. The humidifier sterilizer that had a government stamp of approval, if you will, on it, effectively created gas chambers for young families and killed over 1,000 people.
Frankly, humidifier, water with humidifier something. Press the bottle and just pour it in. That is a lot of stuff. We live health. We live health thanks to humidifier mates. Humidifier friend, humidifier friend. A smart wife leads to a happy
cleaner
family.
Inside the bottle that was supposed to be used inside of the humidifier that was just pumping out misty fog into the tight enclosed spaces of family homes, it was like snorting. Imagine you got a glass of industrial strength rug cleaner and you snorted it.
Oh my
You
gosh.
didn't even drink it, you snorted it.
Wait. You're saying like by putting a couple drops in there,
Yeah.
you're basically snorting
Oh,
like industrial solutions.
yes. But I don't even want to say basic. Yeah, basically, because guess what that cleaner was?
What is it?
Industrial rug cleaner.
So she wasn't even like, she didn't just use that as an example. It literally was just that.
How? Like why?
So what happened? Let's talk about the chemical. It's called PHMG. That's the chemical in the sterilizer. Decades ago, in the 90s, a company called Yugong in South Korea released a disinfectant liquid sterilizer into the market. Yugong is a chemical supplier, so they're not releasing this new sterilizer into the public market. They're not selling at grocery stores or anything like that. It's going to be sold to other companies. So usually other cleaning companies or industrial businesses, which would then use these chemicals in their own products or potentially sell them again. Now, at this point, the chemical that they created was called PHMG, and they had done no government reviews or safety tests yet, so there was no government labels of safety on there. And Yugong just wanted to sell it to other companies in bulk, wholesale. That's where Oxy RB comes in. Oxy, yes, the one, I think they're just known as RB Group now, the Reckitt Benckiser Group. It's like a mega corporation that you literally cannot even go into a grocery store or Target without seeing their products. They dominate every shelf of every cleaning supply aisle. They also have like a pharmaceuticals branch. I mean, it's crazy. They own Airwick, Durex, Lysol, Mucinex. Side note, I believe RB Group is actually one of the manufacturers that are paying massive settlements for the opioid crisis in the US. Recently, the RB Group was fined like $1.4 billion in the US to settle all civil and criminal probes over their marketing of opioids. Yeah, so I mean, I feel like that should tell you enough about this company. It's really hard not to buy their products though, because they do dominate in the market. But anyway, RB Group goes to Yugong and is like, hey, I want to purchase a boatload of this chemical PHMG. And they state that they're going to use it for industrial cleaning products to clean rugs. So like not even at home. This is not something you can buy as a consumer. You're like, oh my God, my dog peed on my rug. Let me go buy a rug cleaner. No, you're probably getting a bottle of Folex. This is like when you take your rug to a certified professional rug cleaner and they've got these crazy machines, crazy safety equipment, and they've got some industrial strength cleaners that you can never get at home and they're going to charge you an arm and a leg. That's the level of cleaning I'm talking about.
So they know exactly what they're buying.
Yeah. They're like,
and they know what this is for.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, this is crazy, right? It's not for little old Stephanie who found out recently that you can't mix bleach and vinegar. Okay, not like recently, but still. Alarmingly late. It creates toxic gas fumes and you could die.
I don't know how they didn't even think about like, yeah, let's just dump rug cleaner into a humidifier and like blow it throughout like the entire air. Like, how did they think that was not going to kill people?
So they specifically stated,
Wait.
oh,
bleach
you
and
just
vinegar?
found out? Yeah.
Yeah. So, vinegar and bleach, the acidic properties and chemical makeup of both bleach and vinegar can create a harmful chlorine gas, and they should never be mixed together. I think that's like, maybe kind of known. The noxious gas can irritate lungs and potentially be fatal. I think it's just like the whole thing. You're not supposed to mix a bunch of cleaners together. Right? So if you're cleaned with one thing, you're not supposed to clean with others. So if you're using a cleaner, do not mix it with other cleaners in case they have clashing stuff inside of them. I forget what exactly.
Yeah.
Huh. Really?
Yeah, but we don't keep bleach in the house. Maybe that's why.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So they specifically stated to Yugong, yeah, we're going to be using it as an industrial strength rug cleaner, which, I highly doubt that Yugong really cared as long as they're making a profit off of this. Now, this deal opens up a ton of doors for Yugong. They have this massive company as big as Oxy, a global megacorp for cleaning supplies and even pharmaceuticals that are buying from Yugong. They've got the street credit now. This is putting them on the map and giving them the credibility that they need. If RB Group was purchasing from them,
These companies I'm getting really confused.
Yugong is the Korean company that made the chemical, and Oxy, now known as RB Group. Okay, so Oxy. Okay.
Oxy, okay.
And if this company as big as Oxy, a global megacorp for cleaning supplies and even pharmaceuticals, are purchasing from this South Korean chemical company called Yugong, that's putting them on the map. That's putting Yugong on the map. It's giving them the street cred that they need, the credibility, everything. They're now selling a bunch of products to a bunch of people.
So a Korean company created this cleaning solution.
Yes.
For rugs.
Yes.
And this
Well,
medical,
they never stated for rugs.
what did they create it for?
An industrial cleaning solution.
For like heavy duty cleaning
Yes.
purpose. And this medical company, big medical company.
Well, they also own cleaning, like they own the cleaning
This
sector too.
mega corporation
Yes.
reached out, say, I want to buy these chemicals from you, from Korea.
Yes.
And now the contract is so big, it's putting this Korean company on the map, is
Yes.
what you're saying.
And now a lot of these Korean companies that sell household items or industrial items, they're like, oh, we want to buy from you, the chemical supplier that they just bought from.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Yugong, they do not sell anything in stores. They are a wholesale chemical company. They don't even really sell cleaning products. They don't even sell like industrial
Yeah.
cleaning products. They just straight up sell chemicals.
Yeah.
And they're like, these chemicals clean shit. And then these other companies will be like, let me buy that and mix it with this. And then I'm going to sell this as a cleaner.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
Yes.
Okay. Understood. Yes.
So basically, that's what's happening, right? And 2 years after the initial order from Oxy, Yugong submits this chemical, PHMG, to the Ministry of Environment in the Department of South Korea for approval. They're like, hey, we created this chemical.
2 years after you made it
And now we
started
just want
selling
to get
it.
it certified so that we can sell it to more suppliers.
Okay.
Are you just allowed to sell chemicals to just people without it being certified, though? I mean, that they were already doing that, but is that like okay to be doing?
They're like, okay, sounds good. What are you using it for? Oh, it's going to be like an industrial rug cleaner. Because that's what Oxy said they're using it for. So they're like, okay, Oxy must know something. That's what they're using it for. The government runs their tests and they come back with a shiny new non-toxic sticker. These non-toxic stickers are very misleading because
I assume it's non-toxic because it's not that it's not toxic. It's not toxic because you're not using it in relation to it coming in contact with the human body. You're not drinking it. You're not sniffing it. You're not rubbing it on yourself. You're using it to clean something. So it's non-toxic in that case. But if you did do any of those things, then it would be.
toxic does not really mean non-toxic, okay? The government only tests for the intended purpose of the product, which makes sense. So when they're told it's going to be used as an industrial strength rug cleaner, the government tests to make sure that if by accident, even with the proper cleaning gear, like gloves, because it's an industrial strength cleaner, if they get a little bit, splash a little bit on their skin, are they going to have a chemical burn and lose a limb? No? Okay, non-toxic. They do not test per se for consumption or inhalation of the product, because if you're out here drinking industrial strength rug cleaner from a rug cleaner bottle on purpose, that's not really the government's problem or the company's problem. That's a personal problem. So Yugong, they get this approved with a non-toxic seal for this specific chemical for a rug cleaner. But the seal does not say that. The seal does not say non-toxic as a rug cleaner. It just says non-toxic certified by the South Korean government. They turn around and give this seal to Oxy.
So you would say that it's the Korean company that messed up. Like they know what they're doing.
No.
Oh, they.
Because Oxy is using it as an industrial.
He's really confused on this. But yeah, they just made something they knew that cleans. Like this, like she said, this stuff cleans. And then Oxy was buying it for whatever reason. And then Oxy told them they're using it for rug cleaner. So the Korean company is like, okay, well, if Oxy is saying this is what it's good, the best thing for, well then I guess this is a rug cleaner. So we're gonna go get it certified as rug cleaner, and then it got certified as rug cleaner. So they're selling it as rug cleaner. It's not necessarily their. I mean, it's not really their fault, but it kind of is, but not. I mean, Oxy's the one that is using it that way. Like Oxy lied, so it caused this entire issue to be the case in the first place. But it's a little bit of the company's fault, maybe, but it's mostly obviously just Oxy.
Industrial strength rug cleaner. So they're like, hey, you know that rug cleaning
I
solution that
see.
you bought from us, or the chemical part of it? Here, it just got certified non-toxic, so do whatever you want with it. Here's the seal. So again, Oxy said, I'm using this as a rug cleaner.
Yeah.
3 years after they get this non-toxic seal, Oxy comes out with a new product in South Korea, literally only in the South Korean market, a humidifier sterilizer. This company pumps out products like their livelihoods depend on it. And I mean, I guess it does. So I don't think at first anyone assumed that the industrial rug cleaner and the humidifier sterilizer were related in any way, because this company has opioids, they have pharmaceuticals, they've got Lysol, they've got car fresheners, they make everything.
Yeah.
Oxy sent out their new humidifier sterilizer for a few tests, one from a lab in the US and one from a lab in the UK. But the humidifier sterilizer hit the shelves before the tests even came back. So people are like, why would that happen? Because you need to run tests before you sell it to the consumer.
Yeah.
Oxy was like, well, we already have a government approved non-toxic label. So those tests, we just thought it was like confirmation of what we already know. But because we already know what we know, we don't need to know more. That sounds crazy, but that's almost literally their roundabout explanation. But eventually, it seems that both Oxy and Yugong eventually find out what's going on. So we know that Oxy put this industrial strength rug cleaner, PHMG, diluted it, probably added a few other ingredients.
Oh, this bottle is interesting. Like, before we get into this, because we're saying that they both, well, Oxy already knows what the heck they're doing, but the Korean company doesn't know what they're doing, but the Korean company is going to find out that they're putting this cleaner into the humidifier, so what are they going to do? But yeah, this bottle is cool. It's unfortunate that they ruined a bunch of people's lives, but just to like cut from all the tragedy for a second, I'm assuming this area here doesn't go into the bottle, but obviously you have all the contents in here, but you squeeze the bottle with your hand, and then it causes the liquid to go up the tube into this little container here, and then this is what you pour into the humidifier. I don't know if I've seen a bottle like this before. Looks like this liquid here isn't attached directly-ish to this. I mean, these two pieces might be attached to each other, but it seems like you just squeeze the bottom. You squeeze this area, and it pumps liquid into here, and then you can just dip it like that and be fine without like getting the right measurement just from doing that. Just give it a little squeeze. You got the right measurement, dump it in, and you're good to go. So yeah, this bottle, I just noticed that was cool, so I thought I should mention that. Again, unfortunate that Oxy's a scumbag, apparently killed a bajillion people, still in business. Did a bunch of stuff with opioids, ? Still in business. Most of our things apparently are made by RB, whatever they're called now, once referred to as Oxy. I mean, that's just what happens, right? When you have infinite money, you could just keep staying in business, making more infinite money, even if you kill 1 million people.
Rug cleaner,
Roll it back.
So we know that Oxy put this industrial strength rug cleaner, PHMG, diluted it, probably added a few other ingredients, and put it into a humidifier sterilizer bottle, slapped the government approved non-toxic sticker on the bottles, and allegedly paid for a lot of advertising. Did you guys know when there is a new, like when articles are made about a fear of something going on, a lot of those can be paid for. And I'm not saying that Oxy does this, but a lot of companies do this. So for example, Oxy, this is hypothetical. Again, I'm not saying that Oxy did this. I'm saying companies sometimes do this. That company will pay for a bunch of different journalists, bunch of different writers to write about how dangerous mold is in humidifiers. The silent killer, how there's mold everywhere. The one thing you didn't know about your humidifier. The one thing that keeps you sick when you use your humidifier. And now everyone's reading these articles thinking, wow, this journalist is doing us a favor and talking about the mold. And now I'm like, oh my God, this is like at the forefront of my mind. There's mold in my humidifier. And then what do you know? A month later, there's a new product on the shelves. It's Oxy's humidifier sterilizer. And in our minds, we don't connect the two. We think, oh, that was just a nice journalist that was warning us. And you know what? Maybe this company read that article and was like, we need to create something for the public. But no, it was all manufactured. It was literally, they had this product. They wanted to create a demand, even if it was a fake manipulated demand for this product.
I don't know if I've ever heard that kind of like, not necessarily conspiracy, but that idea before / something that actually just happens. It makes sense though if it is something that has happened. But I don't think I've ever heard anyone say that. They just will pay to fearmonger about something so that people go buy the thing that has been fearmongered about.
Again, I'm not saying that Oxy did that, but these things do happen. Like, you'd be surprised. It's kind of crazy. They called it safe for families. Oxy called this humidifier sterilizer. Like, imagine the thought process in these evil people's minds.
So there's no like, when this hit the shelf, there's no regulations. There's no FDA approved. There's nothing. It just on the shelf.
Yeah.
It goes.
Because they already have the non-toxic seal from the government.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's like saying,
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see it play out, but at the same time, I'm like, really? Just like that? Like,
yeah.
just like that?
Yeah, the government will later change their laws, and they have gotten really much more strict about it.
I mean, I would hope so. If like 1,500 people died, not necessarily just 1,500 people, but 1,500, up to 1,500 children, infants, etc.
But I guess their excuse was, this is such a bad excuse. The government just pushes it on to different departments. Like the drug and safety department is like, no. We literally look at our job description. We only test for disinfectants of household surfaces. I'm talking Clorox wipes. This humidifier sterilizer is supposed to be the Ministry of Environment. And the Ministry of Environment is like, what are you talking about? We're making sure that the environment doesn't die. Why are we in the grocery stores looking at humidifier sterilizers? They made a killing in South Korea, a country where most of the population uses humidifiers. Now, we can argue ignorance because that's what these massive companies will later try to do. Like, oh my God, I didn't know. But don't sue me. In my personal opinion, I feel like they knew. In 2003, Yugong sold PHMG to another huge Australian company. They sold the chemical. So they have to export this chemical from South Korea to Australia. And Australia has very specific laws about importing chemicals. So they had to mention that this chemical may potentially be hazardous upon inhalation. So they knew.
Okay, so 2003, they knew inhalation was a problem.
That PHMG is not good for inhalation. The Australian companies, they take note of that and used PHMG in regular non-vaporous cleaning solutions. Non-vaporous, so not even like spray bottles. Because that could be very easy to inhale, right? We have no idea if Yugong told Oxy about this inhalation danger or not. Yugong says, we only said that it's dangerous upon inhalation because, I don't know, we were just suspicious. We didn't have proof that it was hazardous. We just like said something. I don't know. We just said what we said. I don't know why we said that. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, exactly. They stated that they were operating on a hunch. And from there, now we have two potential possibilities. Either they told Oxy or they didn't tell Oxy. If they didn't, they are arguing that they have no legal responsibility to tell them because they are not operating on proof. And since Oxy told them that they are buying this to make rug cleaners, they don't really need to tell them it's dangerous upon inhalation. It's up to Oxy to make sure that the consumers are not dying from this product. Now, Oxy is stating that they were never told and they just got that non-toxic seal, so they just assumed that it was non-toxic.
Bro, this is like ridiculous. This is almost like, you know, two kids messed up and then they're like, no, but he say it's okay. He say it's all right. Like, there's like, are you seriously going by Like, they say it's good to do that, so I did it.
I just imagine like those political cartoons, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And it's just two guys in suits that have every orifice stuffed with cash. And they're like, I didn't know it was bad for people. What? No one told me that. No one told me I couldn't do that. Like, it's like, you run a mega corporation. You're telling me you're that dumb? I feel like then I should run your mega corporation. I'm smarter than you then. It doesn't make sense. So Yugong is arguing that it's Oxy's responsibility to run new tests if you're going to use it in something that's not an industrial rug cleaner. And
Yes, yeah. The Korean company is kind of goofing around here a bit, so again, they do need some blame for this. Oxy obviously needed to be like eliminated, but of course, as we know, that did not happen, and they're still just the biggest cleaning company in existence right now. Still, even after this, but yeah, we do need to throw a little bit of blame at the Korean company now.
And Oxy is saying, you didn't tell us that it could be dangerous upon inhalation. Otherwise, we wouldn't have created this product. So they're just throwing the blame on each other, which, side note, a lot of people, myself included, think that these big companies like this would never put people at risk, right? Because they're putting themselves at risk for a massive class action lawsuit, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes the sales of a certain product before the lawsuit outweigh any legal fees that they would have to pay later. And I'm not saying that Oxy did that, but a lot of companies are under scrutiny for doing this with the opioid crisis, which is saying that, hey, we're going to just do this crazy things that we might get in trouble for, but we're about to make billions upon billions of dollars. So whatever, like 1 or 2 billion we got to pay in fines later, that's part of the bottom line. We're going to
That's an interesting way to look at it too. Again, not something I've thought about. Just we're gonna do something really messed up that's gonna make us a lot of money, and the amount of money that we're gonna make is gonna outweigh the bills that we're gonna pay to class action lawsuits or whatnot. So yeah, that is actually kind of crazy to think about.
factor that into our costs. It's just part of government operating costs, they say. Or people do that with the climate laws. These big companies, they have to do a certain thing to like be within their climate laws. Otherwise, they get fined by the government. That government fine is just part of their operating costs now. It does not prevent them from doing the crazy shit that they're doing. So Oxy and Yugong, they were too busy watching the stock market and their bottom line to watch what was going on in the hospitals. They did not know people were getting sick and dying from a new mysterious lung disease. By the time that this hit the news, it was too late. Oxy and Yugong start scrambling to shuffle their cards and hide their dirty laundry. Allegedly, according to both companies' lawyers, both Oxy and Yugong had no idea that their product was causing this mysterious lung disease in South Korea. But they do some very interesting things for companies who have no idea that they're about to get hit with a boatload of lawsuits. So December of 2011, Oxy hires 2 professors to run tests on their humidifier sterilizer.
Wait. December 2011.
Yes.
This is before people found out, or this is after people found out it was from the humidifier?
Before.
Oh, so before they already caught the okay.
People are like, hey, people are dying from something mysterious going on. And they're like, let's just run some tests out of nowhere on this product. So they hired 2 professors and they're doing some tests. These professors write that there was no connection between the Oxy product and the symptoms and deaths of the victims.
What happened to the US and UK tests they were supposed to be running, like way before this? What happened to those tests? They still haven't come
Good
in?
stuff, right? Yeah, no. The professors will literally be jailed later for taking big bribes from Oxy. Big bribes. Oxy also made a very generous donation to the university that the professors worked at.
Wow.
Did the university keep that blood money or no?
Cool. Okay, not suspicious at all. And then Oxy goes to randomly and coincidentally change their company from a publicly traded company to a limited publicly traded company, which is a legal change in classification. The main difference that is pertinent to this case is when you're a limited company, the owners and stockholders are individually legally responsible and liable for the company only up to the amount that they invested into the company. It basically limits the extent in which a person or a singular person can be found legally responsible for anything inside the company. So this is all happening randomly and coincidentally. And then eventually, the CDC went after Oxy. They made the connection by talking to all the victims who said that they bought Oxy Sac humidifier sterilizer and used it before getting sick. There was a recall on all of Oxy Sac sterilizers and a bunch of other small brands who saw Oxy was killing it in this market. They read the ingredients and they just thought, okay, Oxy is a megacorp. They probably did all of the investigations and studyings into this chemicals.
Okay, so we just got knockoff companies just stealing it and also causing a problem. Though, how do other companies go about doing that? Does Oxy have to tell you, or not Oxy, but does the company have to tell you what the exact chemical makeup of a product is? Like, is that something they have to do just legally? I feel like if not, then you would have to figure it out somehow. Like, do you throw that stuff into like a centrifuge or something to figure out like the chemical makeup? Like, how do you find out the chemical makeup of an object? I mean, you probably don't throw it into a fuge, but you just somehow analyze the chemicals to begin with. But I don't know how that process works. Or did they literally just like read the bottle? Like, this bottle says it's made of, or somewhere on Oxy's website, it's like gives you an exact list of the chemicals, which would allow people to steal the recipe, quote unquote, and then make it for themselves as a knockoff. See, I don't know.
And made sure that it was safe, and they have a non-toxic seal. So we're gonna recreate the same exact product, maybe sell it for cheaper because we don't have a brand name attached to us. If Oxy's doing it, it must be safe. Basically, all the humidifier sterilizers are being recalled, and customers were recommended to throw away any products they had immediately. All of it. Throw it away. For the public and really the victims and the family members, I mean, when this connection was made, it was like a gut punch. A lot of parents, they blame themselves. They thought that they were doing their best for their families. They used a humidifier. They went the extra mile, not even to use a humidifier, but to make sure that there was no bacteria being formed inside of that humidifier. And in the end, because they were the ones that bought and used the humidifier disinfectant, a lot of them blamed themselves. And I'm sure we don't need a disclaimer, but this is crazy. I mean, none of this is their fault. The parents, they couldn't see that. Some of them said that I even put the humidifier closer to my child's crib because I thought it would help with their cold symptoms, not knowing that their cold symptoms were literally them dying because of this humidifier disinfectant. They had no idea that they were bringing the killer closer and closer to their own children. Seongjin, the husband who lost his baby and then his wife, remember at the beginning of this story? He said, I bought that humidifier. I'm the one that put the disinfectant in the humidifier. This situation just feels so unfair. I feel so wronged. Another mom said, after I found out, I wanted to die even more because I was the one that put the disinfectant in the humidifier. I was the one that put it closer to my child's face, and I didn't even think to research what I was giving to him. There was a firefighter amongst the victims' families. He's a single dad who just wanted the best for his 5-year-old son. He bought a humidifier because he heard that winters get dry and all these kids had chapped lips. And then he read about how mold is very easy to form in a humidifier. So he bought a humidifier sterilizer and he said it was all his fault. He said, who was the one who bought the disinfectant? Me. As a father and as a first responder who saves the lives of people in this country, I sent my own son with my own hands to his grave. And he sobbed and said, how can a bastard like me that can't even protect his own son, how can he protect the people of this country? Over 1,000 people died.
If I knew that was what's killing them, I wouldn't have used it. How unfair. We don't watch this too often. Also, this is just an episode of not actually thinking about some of these things, but they seem to have like a lock of hair from their child that they kept, which that's not something I would have ever thought about. Like if you lose someone, to keep a lock of their hair possibly. Since obviously you're never going to see them again, so it's just like a memento of them that'll probably stick with you forever. I don't think the hair is going to go anywhere as long as you keep it safe. It's just, again, just not something I've ever thought about. My daughter was so stressed and in so much pain. She bit her lips till they were almost gone.
There were others who were lucky enough to survive, but their lives had completely changed since this incident. A little boy named Seongjun was just 2 years old when he started showing symptoms. Doctors said that there were literal chemical burns on his lung tissues. Since then, his lungs were just never the same again. He could only breathe through his nose, air would come out of his throat, which meant that he could still talk, but he couldn't inhale from his mouth, only his nose. So now, if he gets a cold and mucus blocks his nasal passageways, his oxygen supply is depleted. He could literally die from getting a common cold. The doctors had to put a breathing tube at the base of his neck so that he could get more air into his lungs. That tube stayed there for 10 years. His voice changed. It became jagged and bumpy because of his damage. He can't whisper. He can't exercise or do anything that requires an elevated oxygen intake. This means that anytime friends go running or doing anything active, he just has to sit at home. He also has to use an electricity-powered oxygen machine 24/7. If that machine breaks down, he will be unable to breathe. 1 year, there was a blackout in the area where he lived. His oxygen machine turned off because of the blackout, and he literally had to be ambulanced to an emergency room because he was about to die. Since then, they had to install a massive generator in their home. The oxygen machine, it can be portable if they want, but they have to charge it and the battery doesn't last long. So if he's out when the oxygen machine dies, he has minutes to get somewhere before his brain shuts down from the lack of oxygen.
It looks like he has a sister, it looks like.
So he has minutes to find electricity, but he can't run. He can't panic because he has to stay calm because he can barely get oxygen. So he and his parents, they constantly live with that fear that a simple jog back home because his machine is running out of power or a simple cold could literally kill him. They said that it broke their heart to see their kids sitting at home bored when all the other kids were living their lives. And because he spent so much time as a kid just laying down instead of up and running around because of how weak he was, his bones are so brittle to the point where if he trips and falls a bit too hard, his bones break. It's like he has the bones of an elderly person. And the scariest part of all of this is that Seongjun's lungs were only able to recover because he was away from the toxic fumes of the humidifier when he was hospitalized. He recovered. When he got back home, his mom went right back to using the humidifier because she was told it was good for her son. But in some sort of act of craziness from God or the universe or whoever you believe in, the humidifier broke down.
Okay, well, at least they have that. It breaking down. Also, I keep mentioning about this. Now we're going on. I'll talk about it later. Actually, we'll get through this first.
And she read online that sometimes humidifiers break down if you use too much disinfectant. She never got around to purchasing another one, and it didn't seem like he needed it. She said, "I shudder at the thought of what would have happened if I continued to use the disinfectant in the past 10 years. In the interview, 13-year-old Seongjun said, "I guess my only wish is to be able to run around or go to the gym or go to the playground with my friends."
I say, what kind of something? There was a...
Or go to the playground with my friends.
What kind of things... I had to cough there. What kind of things can do on your own? What kind of things you can do on your own, Seongjun? What kind of things can you do? I'm saying only 3 things: washing my hands, washing my face, and brushing my teeth. Do other things? No, I cannot. Why not? Just cannot do it all. How long can he breathe without an oxygen supplier? Without it?
그냥 5분에서 10분.
Maximum 5 to 10 minutes. I'm tired, it's getting hard to breathe. Okay, I will connect the oxygen supplier.
그거 사다가
Because in the end, this is cut off on my end too. You see the because is cut off in the end. The this at the end is cut off, but it's actually just cut off in this video. Because in the end, I am the one who bought this, so I was not able to talk about this anymore. Talk about something. It's just THI. I'm assuming it's this. Sung-jung's mother is recording Sung-jung's daily conditions and is not letting go of there being hope. Probably. Because again, it's cut off.
There was another victim whose life was irreversibly damaged by the sterilizer. So his mom bought the sterilizer after watching TV and all these commercials talking about how healthy this was and how good it was for family homes. And a few months later, her baby was hospitalized. His lungs had literally collapsed. Thankfully, the doctors stabilized him and they were able to get him to a point where he could leave the hospital and live life on his own. But since he was 1 when this happened, his body would never develop normally ever again. He also can't exercise. He can't do anything that's too strenuous on his lungs. And at 13 years old, he only weighs 62 pounds. For reference, the CDC says the average healthy 13-year-old boy weighs anywhere between 75 to 145 pounds. Chun-seok, his name, Chun, he cannot exercise. And he was so bored at home, he said that due to his inability to be active, he read 10,000 books. He also volunteers as a tour guide at a museum at 13 years old.
He's probably really smart at least, right?
And he
You say this happened in 2011?
Yes.
2008?
Yeah.
So they're all like 20-year-old right now.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He said he tries to stay positive, but no matter how many books he reads or how positively he thinks, his body is in pain all the time. And he just gets sad because he's in pain. He wants to voice it. He wants to talk about it. But then his parents get emotional and they start blaming themselves. They feel like they're the reason that this happened. And he just wants to tell them that none of this is their fault. None of it. Side note, in the midst of all of this, Yugong, the chemical company, the one that supplied it to Oxy, they go
The Korean company.
and undergo like a branding change, right? They rebrand. They change their name to SK Chemical to show
South Korean chemicals.
their direct ties to the South Korean mega conglomerate SK Group. They're owned by SK Group.
What?
Yeah, this is the second largest company in the country, right behind Samsung. So when all of this hit in the news, South Korean netizens were enraged. Parents of victims, they took time off work and they used their own money to hold rallies in front of Oxy's South Korean headquarters. But because this is a UK brand, a lot of these parents flew to the United Kingdom. They protested at the headquarters there. Most people blamed Oxy because it was their product. Some people blamed Yugong or SK Chemical for not letting Oxy know not to do that. And a lot of Koreans were also upset with the government. They felt like it was the government's responsibility to make sure that these corporations were following the laws. The consumers, they don't have the power or the funds to do these types of inspections, even if they wanted to. But the government does have the power, and they have the money via taxes, might they add. It is their literal job to do this. The Ministry of Food and Drug Safety in Korea said, well, we check disinfectants and other household cleaners, but this is new, and it's supposed to be for the Ministry of Environment.
Again, just going around in circles, just blaming everybody. The government's just goofing again. It doesn't matter what kind of tragedy it is. Government's always just goofing around, incompetent, etc., etc.
They were the ones that gave the non-toxic seal in the first place, so it's on them. The government also argued that it was Yugong's fault for giving them the wrong information about how this product was going to be used.
Sure, but it's still, Oxy still needs to be blamed as well.
And then Yugong said, no, it's Oxy's fault because they were the one that changed the purpose of the product and didn't tell anyone.
Well, the product had no purpose to begin with, and they just made one up. Oxy just made a purpose up. So they went with it.
So everyone is just blaming everyone, literally.
Yeah, just punish everybody.
Personally, I think it's everyone's fault. A top chemistry professor in South Korea said, there is no such thing as a consumable disinfectant. And when you are putting it into a humidifier, you are making it consumable because it is being inhaled into the body.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's happening. That's how a humidifier works. You're getting moisture into the body and onto the skin. So what are you talking about? We all know logically that we can't eat sanitizers or sterilizers, even though they aren't toxic or acidic enough to harm our skin. So why didn't they recognize at the time that constantly breathing it in would be the same thing? How could the distributors of PHMG not have thought about this? This is literally their company. This is what they do for a living. How do they not think about that? Another one of his colleagues said, why do you think people do drugs through their nose? The drugs get absorbed the fastest and easiest through the lungs and through the nose into the system. I mean, why couldn't we think that inhaling chemicals in vapor wasn't going to have some sort of health repercussions?
Yeah, of course. So is anyone even going to get in trouble other than, I mean, we kind of know that Oxy got fined a bunch of money, right? But like, again, what is that going to do? They're still a mega corporation till this day, so clearly that did not have any effect on them whatsoever.
It sounds like he's blaming the consumers, but he's not. The whole sentiment people had was, if we all saw humidifier sterilizers on grocery shelves, we would not think twice about it. We would assume that by being on the shelves, it had gone through all the necessary tests to make sure that it was safe. It even had a sticker that advertised how family-friendly it was and that it was non-toxic, guaranteed by the South Korean government. I would think, oh my God, a bunch of smart chemists found a way to kill bacteria through the humidifiers, and me having major dust mite allergies, I would have 1,000% bought it. I would have 1,000,000% bought it if I was a parent with a newborn child, because I would be thinking, I'm doing what's best for my kid. So these victims, they held protests and rallies, but they also sued. 2 lawsuits were waged against Oxy and Yugong, well, now SK Chemical, and the first lawsuit was suspended due to lack of evidence.
How? How was it lack of evidence? That does not make any sense.
The court devastatingly stated that they could not prove PHMG was the specific reason for the hardened lungs and collapsed lungs. A lot of netizens felt like because SK Chemical was directly involved in the lawsuit, the courts dismissed it. SK Group is the second biggest conglomerate in South Korea, and honestly, I really shouldn't be even talking about them, okay? But they bring in $139 billion in revenue every single year. To give you comparison, Target brings in about $100 billion in revenue. So SK Group is a big corporation. They're huge. They hold a lot of influence in the political sphere of South Korea. Every country has their problems with bribery and corruption. In the US, we just call it lobbying, okay? In South Korea, it's just straight bribery. Same thing. Netizens well, not the same thing, but very similar, okay? You guys get it. Netizens speculated that SK Group had a lot of influence over the first court decision.
It would make sense, right? They just bought everything out, bought the courts out, I guess. They can just do that over there. So they can just get the case thrown out.
The victims understandably did not react well to that decision. They stood up in court and shouted, "Not enough evidence? My dying body is evidence." Many netizens and victims' families held protests outside of SK Group now. They were putting their lives on hold, just wanting an apology. Many of the victims' families, they didn't even want money. They wanted acknowledgement. And they would never get it. SK Chemical kept saying, well, it's Oxy that did it. And Oxy kept mentioning, well, we did do it, but these professors said that it was fine. And for a while, Oxy did nothing. For 5 years since their product was recalled, they just kept hoping the situation would resolve itself or quietly die down, but it wouldn't. Finally, in 2016, the CEO of Oxy gave a press conference and did a complete 90-degree bow on stage in front of cameras in South Korea in hope.
I mean, 80. I'm not going to give you 90 on that. It's like 80, maybe 70, 75.
That he would show that he was, I don't know, one with the people, respectful of Korean culture. Nobody cared. Literally, a father of one of the victims walked on stage and slapped him across the face.
Since Oxy ignored the victims' families' requests for a meeting, their anger was at its peak. That was actually another sentence. It wasn't that violent, so I'm not getting in trouble for that. The victim family said the Oxy was pretending to apologize in order to avoid future issues and punishments. Can you save that child? What are you going to do about my sick eldest son?
The CEO said, "This is the first time we are accepting the fullest responsibility and we are offering a complete and full apology. We are late. 5 years have passed." He also stated that the company would be setting up a multi-million-dollar humanitarian fund for the victims and their children. Their compensation plan was as follows. The victims would be split into 4 main categories. And they start getting really vague about the categories. Category 1 are like people who died. Category 2 are people who like didn't die, but their lives are affected. Category 3 are like, are you even sure that you're sick because of us? Like, that's basically what they're saying. Category 1 is like, you bought it, but I don't think nothing happened to you. They were just so vague about everything. So vague about how someone would be able to, like, they were saying if you could prove that, you're category 1 victim, then you would get a certain amount of compensation. But people are like, how would I prove that I died because of you? Technically, I died because my lungs hardened. Like, you're being so vague about it. Like, it's weird. It made it seem like there were so many guardrails put in place and nobody would get compensated. Now, side note, the numbers on how many people directly or indirectly lost their lives from the product differs wildly. Some state it's around 1,500 people that died. Some state indirectly it's closer to 16,000. Indirectly meaning these people later
16,000 is a much bigger number than 1,500.
went on to develop some sort of cancers or autoimmune diseases. So it's not direct death, but it's like you're gonna die from this cancer or this disease, so it's an indirect death. I mean, it's almost direct. So netizens did not really trust Oxy even after this press conference, and it doesn't really matter if we believe them or not because they said the fund ran out. And they're not paying any more victims. We don't even know how many victims were compensated. There were no figures on what I could find about how many of them were registered victims, how many of them were compensated, how much they were compensated. And just to show you how bad it was, one of the victims, Min Suyan, she said that her first child was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease because of Oxy's chemical. On top of that, she and her youngest child have lifelong asthma because of this chemical. She said she never got anything from Oxy or SK chemical for compensation. The government set up a fund and gave her a little bit of money. They gave her and her youngest child medical bills, some medical bills. They compensated for some medical bills because they were like, oh, asthma is probably a direct compensation. But they were like, you can't prove that the autoimmune disease came from the chemical. So they're literally drowning in medical bills. I mean, probably not as much as it would have been in the US, but they have a lot of bills. They have a lot of work that they'd been skipping to go to and from all these hospital visits. Like, the financial impact was large for these people. And these are just like regular everyday people. They're not the CEOs of Oxy. They're not loaded. She said that the bills have made it really tough for the family. And because it had been 10 years since this happened, so she was talking about it in 2021, when everything started coming to light, there were rumors that these victims were going to be filthy rich because Oxy was a megacorp. Because, I guess in America, even we have this sentiment of like, oh my God, this huge corporation did this. You're going to sue them and make millions and billions of dollars. Everyone assumes that the victims of this humidifier sterilizer are filthy rich. And she says, I want to tell people that is not true. False information is being spread and many people are forgetting about the victims and they think that we're making money off of this. It is so painful. I want this case to gain attention and to tell people the reality of the situation about all the victims' situations. I would appreciate it if the government didn't act so mildly towards the victims anymore. Either way, Oxy still wasn't off the hook. An ex-Oxy employee came out and said during a trial in South
Oh, okay. We got an ex-Oxy employee. What is he going to say? He's actually going to throw them under the bus like they should be?
Korea that Oxy totally knew how profitable the sterilizer were going to be for them. They had much incentive to put this on the shelves. So the UK headquarters allegedly were having trouble bridging the sales gap in the winter time. So I guess everyone does like spring cleaning, summertime cleaning, like you got people over, you're partying, you're going on vacations and having house parties, and you're buying all these cleaning products. And then in the winter, everyone kind of stays home. You don't open your windows as much. I feel like maybe there is a trend of cleaning less during the winter.
I mean, sure. I mean, spring cleaning is a thing for a reason. though. I mean, just get into the present business or something. I mean, winter just means buying presents, right? So if you want more money during wintertime, just sell winter clothes, sell presents, stuff that could be given as presents. Like, hello, you didn't have to just kill a bunch of people, just make new products.
Okay.
And I don't know, right? But they were saying, they needed some sales in the winter time. And now that their South Korean branch had this new liquid sanitizer for humidifiers, it was flying off the shelves and bridging that monetary gap.
I mean, antifreeze, that's chemicals. Antifreeze for your car, and that's an easy one if you don't want to make new products. There you go, antifreeze. That's just right off the dome with that one. Like, hello?
During the seasons. Just about every South Korean uses a humidifier during the winter, and with a bit of advertising about the dangers of mold in humidifiers, boom, he said. That's what the ex-Oxy employees said. Also, PHMG came in liquid form, which meant that it was much cheaper to transport across different countries, and it was cheaper to process compared to other chemicals that they handle. So some chemicals, I guess, come in like vapor forms or gas forms, and those are hard. Vapor, gas forms, and those are hard, right? It would take a lot less money to make, and it would be a bestseller. Oxy did not like that, this ex-employee's statement. Oxy...
Well, duh, they're gonna reverse throw him under the bus now. I wouldn't be surprised if he was found dead.
Did not want the blame so bad. So when they went to court, they literally blamed South Korea, the whole government. So the government already accepted their responsibility. They were the only ones that did. They drafted, passed, and enacted laws to make sure that this would never happen again. They tried to set up their own compensation fund for the victims, albeit it was horrible. It was not enough money. But the CEO of Oxy still tried to shift the blame. So I'm just going to read you a court transcript back in 2020, and I'm going to paraphrase it to make the message clear. But it's very much giving, I know I broke the law, but why did it take you so long to catch me? Technically, it's your fault. If you caught me sooner, less people would have died. Like, that's the energy. To the judge, the CEO said, if in 1994, when SK Chemical first created and sold this humidifier disinfectant, and also in 1996, when Oxy first released it, if the government took more accurate measures to watch the process and develop, would we have seen such a tragedy unfold today? The judge literally says, so this is the government's fault. The CEO ignores the judge, and the judge goes on to talk about how when the product was recalled, Oxy should have made a compensation plan for the victims instead of trying to cover it up, such as hiring these random professors to say that there was no link. And that now in 2020, after all of this has happened, now you want to be like, oh my God, I'm sorry, but now your compensation fund has also run out of money. Like, what? And then without a single hesitation, the CEO of Oxy goes on to say, in 2016, when our company acknowledged responsibility and provided compensation, if the government institutions and SK Chemical, who has the responsibility, had worked together to take that responsibility and create compensation for the victims, then the victims would not have to endure such painful suffering to this extent.
Yeah, so now we're just throwing SK under the bus as well. Gotta make sure that everybody gets blamed. It's not our fault. It's all everyone else's fault. They've already accepted like, oh, it's our fault, but they're trying to make it be like, oh, it's all of our faults, which it is all of your faults, but it's not a good look.
They're basically saying we just did compensation out of the goodness of our hearts, and honestly, it was you guys who should have done it. If you guys had done it, the victims would not have suffered as much. On SK Chemical's part, they gave the courts 4 of their employees on a silver platter, and they said, these are the ones that did it, so take them. The employees said, we did not know that this chemical would be used in this way. We created this chemical because we were asked to. We thought it would be used as a rug cleaner or some sort of industrial strength cleaner. How is this our problem? But SK Chemical's lawyers were a lot better than these employees' lawyers, and they
Sure. I mean, what are they going to do against the second biggest company, right?
technically were the ones who created the chemical, so they got 7 years in jail each. They just threw some low ladder employees under the bus and thought that they could move on now. And it worked. I mean, that's crazy. Like, I don't even understand how that worked. Imagine your employer tells you to make something and they're like, it's going to be for rug cleaner. They don't use it as a rug cleaner. It ends up being used for something else, and people are like drinking this and they die, and they're like, okay, you're going to jail now. You're like, this isn't even my IP. This is I'm not even making royalties off the sales of this. Like, what are you talking about? Why is this my problem? I'm literally a 9 to 5 employee right now. Oxy's South Korean representative was arrested and sentenced to 7 years in prison as well. So basically,
South Korean representative? Who is this person even? Who is even this person that they just threw on the bus? What? What do you mean representative? Is that like a
Oxy's
nobody?
South Korean representative was arrested and sentenced to 7 years in prison as well. So basically what Oxy was doing is saying, hey, the UK headquarters, our mega corporation has nothing to do with this. This is the South Korean branch. We have no control over them. They're crazy. They're doing some crazy stuff over there. And that is it. None of the big rich guys who controlled these companies were really touched in any of this.
And apparently, at some point, the two scientists who got paid off did go to jail, though. She said that earlier. I don't think she's gonna hark on that or whatever. But those two got thrown into jail too. But like basically nobody got in trouble.
Oxy did take a huge financial hit. The news got so big that there was a worldwide boycott, very brief, but a
That's
global
crazy.
boycott of Oxy products.
Like,
Except now it doesn't matter because Oxy is still the number one brand, well, the number one company with brands on the shelf that everybody is using right now.
the scale of this,
Yeah.
thousands of people died, and probably tens of thousands of people, their whole life is ruined
Yeah.
and changed forever.
Yeah.
And
it's-
only like you're saying, like 5 employees got a couple years.
Yeah.
How is that fair?
It's not. I think what's scary is the thing is it keeps happening. Like when cigarettes came out, it was never said to be a killer. It was like said to be this thing
It
that
was supposed to be healthy, even, I think. It's good for you, good for the kids, etc., etc.
it's good for people or like a good stress reliever. So imagine how many things today we're going to be in 20 years like, oh my God, that was killing all of us. And we just found out now. Like, I'm so scared to even think about it because I would start to get so paranoid about it.
Well, it literally is. It's the all the dyes in our food, right? Those are bad. Maybe artificial sweeteners, same thing. All that stuff right now is being considered bad. They're taking it out of the food now. Or companies are saying they're taking it out of the food. They're going to make a attempt to remove it from our food because they have been killing us since like 1991 or something. So sorry if you didn't know that, but most of the food has dyes in it, artificial sweeteners, maybe that one put an asterisk in that one, but the dyes, for sure, they shouldn't be there, and they might be killing you. So, oof.
Every tiny little thing that we do, but it's just scary. And I think this puts into perspective, at least for me, like I really cannot trust this idea of, oh, a big company wouldn't do that because they're going to get like a class action lawsuit. That's crazy.
That doesn't matter because they have so much money.
I mean, I would like to believe, Oxy's still going strong. They're now known as the RB Group. They're killing it. They're going strong. And so is the SK Group. They're like untouchable in South Korea and in the US now, right? So I would like to believe that both companies made improvements in their safety teams, but who really knows? This singular product is known to have killed over 1,000 people in South Korea, and it seems like everyone kind of knew that it wasn't good for people. It's not being sold anymore, thankfully, but there were tens of millions of bottles sold. The likelihood that there's still some bottle out there unused underneath someone's kitchen sink is terrifying. I will say South Korea has seen a wave of chemophobia.
Okay. I haven't heard that either, but yeah, it didn't even, again, the episode of not crossing my mind, just that people just happen to have this stuff still lying around because they didn't really use it or didn't know about it, and then one day they just might just use it and get screwed, is not good. But I think the fact that what she's saying right now, they have chemical phobia, might help in that department. Maybe that'll help. If everyone's just scared, everyone's a hypochondriac for chemicals.
I guess it'd be chemophobia. But yeah, ever
Chemical?
since then, South Korean families are really crazy about using chemicals in any sort of cleaning products. Like, I would say my mom is not that bad, but I know a lot of Koreans that don't even like Clorox wipes.
Really?
Just
Yeah.
wipes.
Like
Wow.
any sort of chemical, they're so opposed to it, especially in Korea. So that's why you see a lot of Koreans cleaning with like vinegar mixtures. We love a good vinegar mixture clean. It's a little stinky, but it works. Yeah. Which honestly, I can see how that happened. In 2019, Chun-seok gave a speech. So Jun is the 13-year-old boy who read 10,000 books. And he gave a speech in front of the Korean Congress in 2019. And he titled it, 8 Things I Cannot Do. He says, "Hello, I am a victim of the humidifier disinfectant. My lung blew up and collapsed when I was 1 year old. First, I cannot exercise because I run out of breath. Second, I cannot join my friends when they're playing. Third, I cannot blow up a balloon, even if I wanted to. Fourth, I cannot play any wind instruments, like the flute. Fifth, I cannot go to school every day because of all of my hospital appointments. Sixth, I always have to bring tissues around because I always have a runny nose or I sneeze uncontrollably. Seventh, I am underweight, and every time I need an injection, which is frequently, they have to poke me a lot. 8, it is easy for me to fall over even if my friends push me softly." The toxic humidifier disinfectant was sold by greedy companies and the government allowed it. Nobody is taking responsibility, and I want them to all take responsibility for their actions and decisions. But it seems like they still haven't, and I don't think that they have plans to.
I mean, nothing's gonna happen. Like, that's just how it is, right? Just get screwed over by make a company and then just get away with it. Keep making money. They have just too much money to be in trouble.
So, that is the story of the silent killer who killed over 1,000 people in South Korea. What are your thoughts? I mean, does it feel like a wake-up call in some way to you? What else do you think is happening today that in 20 years from now we're going to be like, oh my God, how did we not see that? What are your thoughts?
We're already at
And
the
please
dyes
stay
in the food.
safe, and I will see you guys on Wednesday for the main episode.
Like, we're already doing that with the dyes, I'm telling you. Dyes are going to be crazy in a few years. Like, oh my God, these dyes cause this, this, and that. But who knows if that's actually going to happen or not. But yeah, oof on that one. I know I wasn't saying too much, but I typically don't say too much on these Rotten Mango videos because I don't know when to chime in. Though I think the last episode, maybe the last few, I have actually been saying a lot, but this one we did not really get to chime in too much. Because we're not even over 2 hours yet, and this video was an hour and 17. Like, her video is an hour 17 minutes, and we're not even over 2 hours yet. So the thing I mentioned earlier that I wanted to remark on again, because I keep doing it every single time, is she had something in her hand, but it's that big tube with like gold on it. Again, I don't know if that's a beauty product. I keep saying, like, as a conspiracy, it's her doing like an ad, like an undercover ad or whatever, an ad spot or whatever, without actually doing it, just showing the product in camera sometimes. But I'm just like joking with that. I don't think that's necessarily what's happening. Sometimes I can't tell if it's a marker or if it is like a beauty product, but I think it's like a beauty product, possibly. Again, possible ad. Oh yeah, and the fact that I feel like I called it almost immediately with it being a humidifier, because it's the only thing that made sense, right? We're talking about lungs and something that's going to be possibly airborne and in near children / moms. Like, humidifier just seemed like the immediate answer. So I'm surprised I was able to just instantly get that. I mean, I didn't know what it was. I just assumed humidifier. So like my first kind of like thoughts were correct, but I was still like shotgunning for other answers and assuming that wasn't correct. Yeah, oof. Like, just 1,500 people just gone because of that, and no one's going to get any. No one's really getting punished for that. Sucks. But yeah, I mean, that's just how things end up happening. Can't really do anything about it yet. Maybe in the future something will change, and then a lot of accountability will end up happening. Who knows? Yeah, I still don't know what to watch next, since I'm kind of just picking things at random. Maybe we'll do the Korean or the K-pop band that created the club that was trafficking and selling drugs and whatnot. Since that one is a long video, but I didn't want to do it today because I didn't have time. And I'm doing this one. This is the second video I've done today, so I can upload it in advance, so it actually gives me time to do the K-pop one, because then that video is going to go up the next day after I record it, and so on and so forth with this series. These videos will be, you'll be seeing them a day after I record them. So I'm doing this on the 21st. You're going to see it on the 22nd, basically. I mean, if you have any suggestions, let me know. We're pretty much just going to be coasting on Rotten Mango videos, or possibly even the Stephanie channel as well, because that's also one of her channels that seem kind of similar. Not really dark stuff, maybe just weird stuff. A lot of mukbang stuff, but I think she stopped doing mukbang videos, but maybe we'll end up seeing a mukbang video from her on that, which don't know how weird that's going to be. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Remember to buy my stickers if they about becoming a member. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed, because we're working with watch time and subscribers, and don't forget to throw in as well. And shout out to the members, EmmyStarr and RaleyDrew. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Tune into the next episode. Like, subscribe, comment. You know the do. See ya.